everyone. Welcome to a very spooky edition of H2OMG, water horror movie episode.
We're all here. And everyone's being super quiet. And so we've all watched a water horror movie, and we're going to talk about our feelings. We're going to give it a rating, 0 to 5 bags of popcorn. And yeah, so that's it. Who wants to go first?
Are you going to tell us which movies we're talking about? Oh.
Well, we'll just go around and we'll say. So Jillian everybody is going to figure this out. Jillian has a mystery movie that she won't tell anybody what it is. I've been trying to guess for the past 2 days, and she says that I haven't gotten it, but we'll see. So she's got some clues. Do you just want to go first, or do you want to save the mystery?
No,
okay.
Yeah, we can go.
Okay. Okay. Who wants to go first?
I can do it.
Do you need more time to read?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm still reading mine. I got to refresh.
Go ahead.
Okay. Poltergeist.
Michelle watched Poltergeist.
Yes.
The original one, not the stupid remake. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. So what would you like to know? Water themes, what are my overall feelings
Why don't you
about
just tell
it?
for anybody, so this is going to be filled with spoilers, so if anybody hasn't seen this 40-year-old movie, go out and watch it.
Yeah, and get over it.
It's fun. Like we were talking yesterday, it's pretty family friendly. It's not that scary, really. It's not gory at all.
Wow, why was this even a big thing?
Yeah, I know.
Like, yikes.
So why don't you give us just a little synopsis of what Craig T. Nelson gets up to in Poltergeist?
So it is a story that mostly takes place in this nice home. I guess in late 70s, early 80s, not
80s,
quite. Yeah,
early to mid, I think.
Yeah, and they essentially have a poltergeist in their house, and it starts with the little girl, and somehow the little girl goes to some other dimension, and they just hear her voice, and things starts going crazy in their house. They get some paranormal investigators. Really good. By the way, Stranger Things did not realize how much they stole from this movie. Like,
really?
Mind blown. Yeah, the whole like other universe, evil demon thing in another universe, the plasma kind of thing.
Yeah.
Had no clue that this came from that. Anyways.
Well, tell everybody what's the cause of this outbreak of spiritual activity.
So this movie touched me when I realized that its core essence was corporate greed, because the contractors pretended to move the graves. So it was this whole development was built on top of a cemetery, and they moved the tombstones, but not the actual graves. And so then at the very end, all the graves start popping up, and you realize that these poltergeists formed from all these souls that are mad that, you got a house on top of them.
Because they find them when they're building a pool, right? Craig T. Nelson's digging a pool in his backyard.
Yes. So, yeah.
And
yeah. So I mean, it's kind of cheesy, but I feel like it's in a classic horror film.
Yeah.
Like it's in that genre. So,
it's worth watching.
Yeah, I think it's worth watching.
Can I add a fun fact?
Please.
So pools are typically like 20,000 gallons.
This is the best fun fact ever.
20,000 gallons to like 35,000 gallons. So if you have a leak, it can be a huge waste of water.
Thank you, conservation.
Jillian.
The one they were digging was pretty deep, so
Yeah, and
I mean, at least 6 foot if they're getting down in the graves.
Olympic size.
But I'm fine. Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of OSHA violations because they kind of like dig that hole and then they just kind of leave it there for a while. And it felt like, are they not working on it anymore?
Yeah.
Like, what happens?
Yeah.
Can I make a confession again?
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie the whole way through.
Okay.
Never.
I think Katie's going to be saying that a lot.
I am. I see movies, but so many I just don't have a huge taste for horror. I like the creepy ones, which is my movie. I like the creepier ones. I don't like.
What do you consider a creepy one?
Like Signs, the movie that I watched, What Lies Beneath, the ones that give you kind of like the heebie-jeebies.
Like Annabelle kind of?
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
That one's creepy.
Marianne's creepy.
Yeah. I highly recommend.
Yeah,
Marianne.
I've only been able
Netflix.
to make it through one episode because
There are a lot of demons and stuff. Again, see, nope. Just don't open up that can of worms with me. Just don't. Let's just not. I don't want to have a haunted house. Some people I know live for that.
Yeah.
Never do I want ghosts in my house. I would be like, oh, they're selling this house now. Bye.
That's what I always tell Ryan. I'm like, we would never, like, the family stays in the house. No, I'd be like,
why?
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
In fact, at our current house, Ryan tried to play a trick on me that we had a ghost while we were renovating.
Nope.
And I got seriously mad at him.
Yeah,
and was like, okay, well, my parents live like a mile away. So I was like, me and the kids are going. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're not going to live here. Like, I don't entertain this. This is not a game to me.
What was the trick, please?
No, he just told me like all these incidences that were happening while they were renovating. And he's like, and I think we have a ghost. He did say like this lighting thing like almost fell on his head, and it was kind of oddly coincidental.
I thought he had props and like.
Oh,
that would have been way better.
No, he knows better.
Little traps. Because that's what ghosts do in their spare time, set traps.
Like I would go insane.
I meant like a little device where when she walked in, it would set off something to make it look like there was a ghost.
Gotcha.
I would never forget.
I went to like a Home
I'd be
Alone
vengeful.
place.
Booby trap.
This is not a joke to me.
Let me just do before we get too much further into this, let me just do a quick poll around the table and have everybody raise their hand if they're a horror fan, but we're not going to tell the audience. So I'm the only one. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell everybody I'm the only one who raised my hand.
Yeah,
so why are we doing this? Whose idea was this?
Yours.
Okay.
So do we want to talk about the water elements in Poltergeist?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have the pool, which Jillian pointed out how much water that uses.
That's scary how much water a pool uses.
See, that is the terrifying to me. See? We're at least all on the same page there.
Well, and the thing there, so this is a little adjacent to us, but stormwater. There was a stormwater issue. They were having all these storms.
Oh.
And the lady, at one point, the mom runs over there thinking that her child might have fallen into the unfinished pool. And she starts slipping because the dirt starts eroding from the heavy rainfall. So that's an issue.
You really did your homework on
this. Didn't have a fence up around the pool?
No, they had nothing. They had nothing. That's what I thought. And twice in the movie, she references being scared that her daughter has fallen into the pool. And so I'm like, the undone pool. So I'm like, why don't y'all have any kind of protection around
anything
it?
to do.
And then there's nothing to protect it when it rains. There's no kind of siltation protection. I mean, it starts filling in. So
irresponsible
insanity.
Pool owners.
Exactly. The other big thing is...
This is a huge oversight by this development company because they knew that people were going to be digging pools. A guy who works for them is digging a pool. And they didn't want to move all those bodies. Hundreds of bodies.
Good point.
They didn't think they would find them?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That is a very good point.
I wish you guys could see the blank look that Katie's giving me everything I say.
I know you think I know what you're talking about, but I really don't.
The other thing is when they bring in the paranormal investigators to try to help them figure out what's going on, one of the guys gets kind of creeped out and he goes to the bathroom and he starts having these, he thinks they're real. Turns out it's a hallucination, but his face starts falling apart.
Oh, yeah.
And it starts falling apart into the sink.
That's creepy.
And
see, no food.
Yeah. You can't have any food or any other objects going down your sinks. They're going to have clogged pipes from flesh going down.
Skin.
You can't have face skin.
There's a lot of oil on your skin, and we all know you shouldn't flush oil down the toilets or down the drains.
Skin, cheek parts. You don't want that down the
That's
sink.
a good thing for his sewer system that it was just an illusion.
Yes, but it just made me think that people might think that's okay, and we don't want them to think that.
I just want to say real quick, I think the lady who comes and investigates is the little old lady from 16 Candles at the church. And I said this yesterday, not expecting you guys to, they looked at me like I was crazy, like they're doing now. But
no, I
didn't look this up, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't realize either American Horror Story also has a tribute to her in their Coven episode.
To that
kind
lady?
of just like a really unique very, she has a very distinct voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she herself is kind of creepy, which, by the way, was she all there because she says the house is clean and then it is not and they get attacked again?
I mean, was she just a scam artist?
Well, I mean.
Like ghost hunters in real life?
I don't know. Zach.
Zach.
Haven't you ever seen that show? What is that show? I can't be the only one. You know Zach. What show is that called? What is it? No. It's cheesy.
Yes, very cheesy.
Zach and Cody.
Zach.
Infinite playlist.
I can't remember. He is like a ghost hunter.
Is it a kid show?
No. And they're like, it's for real ish.
I'm gonna cut this part out anyway.
Ghost hunters.
Yeah, ghost hunters.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Totally fake. We'd have to get into my beliefs on this, but do you have anything else you want to say about Poltergeist? I want to say something. I'm sorry that I interrupted. That I asked you a question, then I interrupted you.
Yeah.
But the remake with Sam Rockwell is a piece of garbage. So don't see it. Do you have anything else to say, Michelle?
How many popcorns?
Oh.
Yeah. How many bags of popcorn do you give it out of 5? I remember 5 is the limit.
I would say I'll give it 3.
3 bags of popcorn.
3 because it's a classic. I think in a normal circumstances I'd give it a 2, but because it's a classic and so many current horror genres or whatever films, shows have pulled from, because I was able to see when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's from this. I've seen that here. I've seen that here. They've pulled all this stuff from Poltergeist. It gave it a little bit more, like, it's a classic. It's a classic. So that deserves something. Huh?
It spawned several sequels. It had its own TV show for a while. So.
But the graphics are horrible. But I get, it's hard to have perspective, right? Because we get everything CGI now.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were bad.
Practical effects. Isn't that the one where the kid's braces come out of his mouth and?
No.
Or is that maybe that's the sequel?
That must be the sequel.
I get them mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 bags of popcorn on
3
Poltergeist.
bags.
Okay.
3 bags.
Good. That's good. That's solid. Who wants to go next?
So I'll go next and talk about this horrible movie I saw. La Llorona. I don't know what other people think, but having a background coming from the Hispanic community where we have La Llorona, I've lived with stories of La Llorona forever, and so
It's a really creepy story.
It's a creepy story, but not the
movie.
The movie just came in and crushed it all down. So it takes place back in the 70s in Los Angeles, where, according to the story, so this lady has 2 kids, and somehow they open a portal for La Llorona spirit to come back alive, I guess.
See, again, with people opening portals and things, just don't. Just
keep the portals closed.
Yes.
And so all of a sudden she starts recognizing some marks on her kids' arms, and the kids might be, I don't know, 8 and 10 or 6 and 10 or something like that. So they're fairly young. And then she finds a way of keeping them safe from what she thinks is La Llorona. And so she goes and locks the kids up in a room full of candles and trinkets, holy trinkets to stop La Llorona from going in there.
Can I ask you something before you keep going? So in the movie, I watched it recently. I was not impressed, like you.
Yeah,
not impressed. But at the very beginning, it's like a flashback to her in like the 1600s or whatever. And the story in the movie is that she drowns her own kids. That's the myth, right? I mean, didn't change that, right?
That's how I learned about La Llorona again. Since I was forever, I've learned that. So this was a very beautiful native person in Mexico who fell in love with a Spaniard, and so he got there. They did all their conquering that they were going to do, and then he conquered her as well. So he promised her that he was going to come back after he went and did a report to the king back in Spain. He was going to come back and marry her. She was left pregnant, and he never came back. And so she went crazy. And the story is that because of her broken heart, she went to a nearby creek and drowned her child.
Because they reminded.
Yes, and so she died, and her spirit never made it to heaven, and now she's roaming every lake, every ocean, every body of water looking for her son. And even according to my mom, back in Mexico, when it was thundering, you could hear in the middle of the night or very early in the morning her scream of I want my kids, where are my kids? And so the idea is too that whenever she finds another kid, she'll drown those kids again. Trying to bring her.
What does her name mean in English? Does it mean
La Llorona,
like
the
wailing?
crying lady?
Oh, crying lady.
Mm-hmm. Crying lady.
Original.
So yeah, this movie didn't make much sense to me. It just
didn't make much money either.
Probably not. It wasn't like it didn't get any noise at all. It's just like
nobody talked about it.
Is that like a one popcorn bag?
Not even an
unpopped kernel in the bottom of the first bag.
At least to me, and maybe it has to do that I grew up with this story, and my mom surely tells it a lot creepier than the movie.
There's also a pool. They have a pool in their backyard.
They do have a pool.
Unfenced again. But this was the 70s, right?
Mm-hmm,
in the movie.
Back in the 70s.
I mean, they didn't wear seatbelts back then, too.
Yeah, right.
So,
They didn't have car seats.
Yeah.
So.
And they had flooding. They had flooding, so that's part of that. And then what else?
They use a lot of holy water, right?
They have the holy water, yes.
A priest comes, holy water, the business.
Mm-hmm. He tries to help this mother. Eventually the mother dies, and then the cop. So they take away this lady's babies because they're thinking that she's abusing them because of the marks and everything else. And so she is desperately trying to find them, and she doesn't have access to them. But then the midst of that, the kids are placed in
like foster care
or something. And so in the middle of the night, La Llorona comes back, and she eventually takes them. They kind of get up in the middle of the night, and they are hanged.
I can't remember. I sort of zoned out.
Yeah, but yeah, don't go and
so
watch
bad
La
to stop
Llorona.
paying
It's not
attention.
worth it.
How many bags of popcorn?
Nothing.
Zero
Nada.
bags.
Zero.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Here you go.
So have you guys all seen What Lies Beneath?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. I feel like Jillian and I feel like you and I are always together on movies. Sahara, every Jurassic Park.
Jillian,
Good.
When I did the poll a minute ago, I said, who likes horror movies? And nobody raised their hand except for me. And Jillian has a list on her phone of horror movies to watch every day during October.
No, they're not horror movies. They're Halloween movies. So some of them
What's the
are
difference?
spooky, some of them are gory, some of them actually are horror movies. Actually, I can't really think of many that are fully horror movies.
You just watch Hocus Pocus for 31 nights? I'd be into that.
No, I've got a whole list, but they're mainly like fun Halloween movies. But What Lies Beneath is on there. That's one of them.
It's kind of like a good, creepy.
It's a thriller.
Yeah,
A
it's
real
definitely
fun
a thriller.
movie.
Yeah. Death,
Okay,
killing.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to go ahead.
So the whole, and I had to thank you Wikipedia for this because it's been a while since I've seen it. So there's a couple, Claire and Norma Spencer. The husband is a professor.
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer. And so basically Claire thinks that her neighbors that she keeps seeing feuding. She thinks that the husband has killed the wife, and so that's how the whole thing kind of starts. Is that she's very determined. I mean, I guess she really has nothing else to do. New place and everything.
Her daughter moves away, so
moved to college, empty nester,
so,
starting to freak out.
Yeah.
They're rich. They live on a lake.
Right. Yeah. Again, water. So after Claire hasn't seen the neighbor in several days, she starts to talk to her husband, and then all the kind of freaky stuff starts to happen where she finds the key.
Stuff in the bathtub.
Yeah, stuff in the bathtub. Yeah. What else here? It says, the mystic friend Jody. Do you guys remember that when they try to hold the seance? Again, it goes back to my point. Why? I was always that kid that growing up, around Halloween, and people would be like, "Oh, let's do the Ouija board." I'm like, nope. I don't care if you believe in that stuff or not. Just don't even try.
Was the seance before the bathtub or after the bathtub? I can't remember. I feel like the bathtub fills up with water.
I feel like it was before.
Household leaks. Yeah. 1 drip per second.
Can add up, people.
Over 10,000 gallons of water a year. So
showers are better.
Yes.
Showers are better.
Yeah. It was the seance, and then just after the seance is whenever she finds the first on the mirror.
Yes, on the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. So it ends up being.
What did you find?
Oh. It just says written on the mirror.
So it's like steam has built up on the mirror.
And
a lot of steam.
Written. What?
A lot of steam in this movie.
I thought you said what is steam?
What is steam?
We can talk about
That's a different podcast.
That's another form of water.
Yeah.
Steam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it was that she keeps finding her computer that keeps typing MEF again and again and again. So she becomes convinced that Mary, the neighbor who she's determined is dead at this point, is the one that's haunting her. But then several days later, Mary returns home, and she kind of has a little internal meltdown of what the heck was all of that. Clearly, seeing the person on the lake, you can't ignore that sort of stuff. So something
she even saw that creepy guy moving a big body-shaped bag into the car in the middle of the night in the rain.
Yeah. So it is creepy. So Claire, then the next thing that happens, so the neighbor's already home safe and sound, and then a picture frame falls, and that's when she finds the newspaper article of the girl, the missing woman, that was Madison Elizabeth Frank. And that's
it's all coming together.
Yeah, and that's the MEF. So Claire tracks down Madison's mother and steals Madison's hair from her home. Again, why? Why? So then Claire reads about the conjuring the dead, and that's when she becomes possessed.
Yeah.
And
by Madison.
What?
By Madison.
Was it? Was it? Yeah, by Madison. Yeah, because then she seduces her husband and that whole thing. So that's whenever he admits.
And
this isn't for kids.
Eyes change from blue to green.
They do. Yeah. So she's clearly a different person.
He looks in the mirror and sees Madison, right? When he's looking at his wife.
Yeah, he sees her form, and then he also sees her in the bathtub,
she's totally different. He knows she's a different person. Yeah. So
So she tries to kill Michelle Pfeiffer in the tub, the ghost, and the ghost also tries to kill Harrison Ford in the tub by pushing a blow dryer in there and electrocuting him.
Yeah.
So,
right.
a lot of tub deaths.
A lot of tub deaths. This is weird. Wikipedia says Claire returns home. That's not right. She returns back to normal, which I guess is home. And that's whenever Claire finds that, Norman was in the tub. But he ends up recovering. Claire asks Norman if he killed Madison, which he denies. Long story short, she starts trying to call 911, and that's whenever everything just sort of unravels. That she starts to find out that he did kill her. She knows about the affair and everything now, and then the husband just goes nuts and starts trying to then kill Claire. Tries to kill her in the bathtub, filling with water, strangling her, but he put something over her mouth too,
chloroform or something?
Yeah, it wasn't that, but
because he's a science
it's professor, so he knows something. So he throws her in the bathtub, fills with water.
Oh yeah, so she's paralyzed. That part is really creepy.
Yeah. so she can't move. Because remember,
and he confesses everything. I'm like,
yeah, he says everything.
He's like a Bond villain.
Yeah, it's like, don't give us a monologue, right? Yeah.
Yeah, as she's like reaching with her toe to try to unplug the everything, turn it off. So let's see here. So basically, it all ends up at the lake. So I mean, spoiler alert. Roundhouse ends up being to where the car. Claire was in the car.
They're both in the car.
They're both in the car. They're fighting. They end up crashing into the lake.
The cell phone.
I don't remember how they.
Work.
Yeah, the cell phone doesn't work.
Like there was like it was like an old Nokia or something.
Yeah,
when there was
the
only
old
one
Nokia
cell
flip
phone.
phone.
Yeah.
There's trusty Nokias. It didn't work.
Yeah.
And then whenever they crash into the lake, it ends up being Madison prevents Harrison Ford, Norman, from getting out of the car, causing his death. And then at the same time, Madison's actual body rises to the surface. And then they find out that he did, in fact, kill her, but now he's dead. So Madison's ghost kind of avenged her own
Didn't she
death.
like keep him from swimming back up or something?
Yeah. Like she completely
Pretty cool.
stopped him, yeah. So no uncovered pools that I noticed in the movie.
Yeah, no swimming pools at all. Interesting.
No. But a lake. So very large. Very
It
large.
was a big tub.
Larger.
Yeah, it was a big tub.
One of those clawfoot tubs, I think. How many bags?
I would say let's do 3.75. I'd say between 3.5 and 4. So we'll just split the difference.
Okay.
It's good. It's definitely one because it came out whenever I was younger. I don't remember when it was, but I was fairly young.
2001 says.
2001. Yeah, so it was pretty.
I thought it was older than that. Wow.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, at the time, it was pretty creepy. Again, see, I like the creepier ones, like the things that.
It's a good mystery.
Yeah, like it's still creepy enough because a lot of the things that she sees, like, are little things. Like she sees the key in the vent. She see, the picture frame that falls over. Like, and when the picture frame falls over, it's like the windows are open. So it's like all little things that could happen, and that's what makes it creepy.
Kind of all makes sense.
Yeah, everything makes sense, yeah. Which, I mean, again, it's hindsight, I mean, you have that all the time. You're like, oh, that happened because of X, Y, and Z, but hindsight, but yeah. So I like the creepier kind of those sorts of movies.
Yeah.
Lots of tubs and lakes.
Do you want me to go and then we'll do the mystery movie for last?
Sure.
Okay, okay. And then I'll try to guess. So she's got some clues she's going to give me. I don't know if we said this on the air, but we're all going to try to figure out what it is. But since I'm clearly the biggest horror movie fan here, hopefully I can get it. We'll see.
Jurassic Park.
Okay.
No.
Does it have Don Knotts in it?
You'll have to wait.
Okay,
until-
gotcha.
Yeah.
So my movie that I watched was The Ring, the American version with, actually I don't know any of the actors at all. So, everybody knows it. Okay. There's a haunted videotape. And when you watch it, go ahead.
I watched it through my fingers. The entire movie through my fingers. Just kind of barely peeking.
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't
Sorry.
this
That
one with the
movie
well?
scarred me.
Yeah.
Is there a well in this
It
one?
scarred
She's
me.
normal.
That's what I thought. So there was a well. We have a family cabin in the Allegheny Mountains in western Pennsylvania, and way back in the day, I don't even know when it was built, but they used to get the drinking water from a well, and it's like a stone brick well in the middle of the
Open
freaking
hole,
woods.
yeah,
Yeah.
open bore
It's
well,
so I'll have to try to find pictures and bring it in for you guys, but it's really freaking creepy
That sounds like this movie.
because it's like 30, 40 feet maybe from the cabin. It's bizarre.
That's a big no.
Yeah, see? Yeah. And we didn't know it existed for the longest time because, it's far enough away and it's in the woods that you're not really going to see it. The only way we found it, of course my parents were like, oh, yeah, that's been there. But us kids, we were cutting through the woods to go from, the cabin up through a path or up to another path. So instead of going around the long way, we're like, oh, we'll just cut through. As soon as we hit that, we're like, and going back. Because we were just, done. Past a creepy well in the woods, you turn around.
This discussion just brought up a good memory of me. Last year, I was trying to be La Llorona for Halloween, and I think I came close.
I think you did.
Yeah, she saw the picture. My kids don't know it yet, but I love chasing them around and scaring them. And like right now, we pretend I have a witch hat, and we pretend you don't have to put this in the podcast. We pretend we pretend it's possessed, and every time they put it on me, I turn into a witch. And I try to eat them, and I chase them around. They love it. They are all horrible. They're always trying to put that hat on my head.
Yeah.
Like I'm cooking, and I'm like, you can't, not safe. Now's not the time. But I went a little too far because one time it was not on. Jack was doing that to me, and we were near the oven, and I pretended like I was going to put him in the oven, and he started screaming, and too far. I go too far. So pray for my children. Lots of therapy in the future. But
I have no words right now.
Last year, full disclosure, my mom used to run around chasing me with a fake knife as a child.
Oh, okay.
So
This
this
is
is
where you
just
get it
par.
from.
This is
Not la
par.
chancla.
No,
A
not la
knife.
chancla. A knife. And it was one of those retractable ones that would go in. So she would like faux stab us. So this is just the continuation of this neurosis and clearly mental defect.
Yeah.
Just carrying it on.
Tradition.
Yeah, we can. Yes. But since I was like La Llorona, but I also kind of looked like The Ring, like they looked very similar, the look. So I would chase them on the ground, crawling on all fours. And I was like, they don't get the reference, but I'm chasing
One day
them
they will.
like the chick from The Ring. So one day they're going to watch The Ring and be like, her mom is insane. Which they already know.
I feel like one day they will be in a movie with their girlfriend, and they'll be like, "This reminds me of my mom."
Fun memory.
No, there's another similarity that I noticed between The Ring and La Llorona is the marks on the arms.
Yes,
Once
like
the
grabbing you.
lady from The Ring touches you, then you're marked. You got a little like burn mark on your arm, and then that's it. You're in trouble. But basically, you watch a video, a creepy video, like an student art film, and then you get a phone call saying that you have 7 days
To live.
to live. And then a lot of stuff happens, blah, blah, blah. She ends up being a little girl who was thrown into a well.
Wait a minute. Now
Yeah.
just remember, I don't see these. Okay, confession. I totally. Okay, so The Ring is in reference to the phone ringing.
No,
Okay,
the
okay.
actual ring,
To the well.
yeah, that she sees.
Circle shape.
Gotcha.
bottom of
Okay.
Let me go into a little more detail.
Okay.
So the main,
also a phone ring.
yeah, that's true. I didn't never thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Meaning.
So the lady who accidentally, at the beginning, 2 high school girls, they watched the video. One of them has watched the video previously, and she dies. And the other one goes crazy. And then that lady's aunt is an investigative reporter. She wants to get to the bottom of this, so she ends up watching the video, finding the cabin that they were in where they watched the video, and she watches it, and she gets the same phone call, and then she has a kid who also watches it, and then her ex-husband / boyfriend, it's complicated, he watches it too. So she's trying to save everybody and get to the bottom of the mystery, and it turns out that she was adopted by...
Wait, she's trying to save everybody, but why are they watching this? If they see people are dying, or do they just not
the
make
kid
the
watched on
connection?
accident,
Okay.
and then
So nobody's making the connection at that point.
No.
Okay,
Her and her boyfriend, husband watch it pretty early on before they think it's true.
Okay.
And then weird stuff starts to happen. Every day gets a little creepier and creepier. And she ends up finding out that there was a little girl who was adopted. I forget exactly why the mom threw her down the well. She finds the girl's dad. The movie makes you think that he did it, but it turns out the mom did it for some reason. I don't remember.
I can't remember why.
Something with
she did
horses.
it.
I don't remember why. I just watched it the other day and I
Something
can't
with
remember
horses.
already. And so The Ring, and from the title, is her looking up out of the well.
Gotcha.
And the main lady ends up falling in the well, finding the girl's body with the hair. There's a lot of hair themes in this movie. One time she's drinking a glass of nice tap water, and she pulls out of her throat this long, like, glob of hair. It's really
That
gross.
happens every day in my house.
Yeah.
I get complaints all the time.
That's what the bottom of my shower looks like. Thanks, honey.
Also, pull that out, or else you will have clogged pipes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unanimous yes around the table.
So she falls down in the well. She sees like the little girl's like fingernail scratchings from where she was trying to get out, and she realizes. So she ends up. What do they do? Do they take her body out and like rebury her or something?
Yes, they put her to rest.
Yeah, and she thinks that's helping. It ends up there's a little twist at the end where she wasn't helping. She was just setting her free to attack more people. Anyway, the end. I recommend it.
So how did it conclude? Are there sequels to that?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch.
Okay.
They just
Isn't
released one a few
based
2 years
on
ago.
a Japanese movie.
Yeah, it's originally Japanese.
And that's
Because that's the sequel.
their folklore, right? Like they have a folklore
That's
I thought so. Yeah, I
of
thought
a
so.
lady.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a common theme? Where's the book on this? Where's the research? Is there a common theme of
Lady
women
revenge?
and water, like being in water, drownings in water?
I mean, I could see like the reoccurring theme of parents with kids, because at one, it's like always like a very horrible crime for both perspectives. So from adult level, it's seen as a horrible crime. From a kid's perspective, it's like terrifying because it's like someone you love. So I mean, I think as far as like the parenting aspect of it, but as far as the water, that's interesting.
That witch hat must be terrifying.
Yeah.
They love it. I had to hide it.
I'm trying to raise Carrie on horror movies, and so we fall asleep all the time to Friday the 13th, and Hilda's leaving.
Hilda gave her warning. She's given her warning to the both of us.
We fall asleep all the time during watching Friday the 13th movies, and he loves it when you do that thing from Pan's Labyrinth where you put your hands up on your eyes and do like real creepy noises like you're gonna eat him. He loves it. So I think he's off to a good start. I give The Ring 5 bags of popcorn, the maximum 5 bags, and a little haunted videotape for people to watch.
Breaking his own rules.
No.
Over there.
I know that was part of the
5 is the
deal.
maximum. So now we're moving on to Jillian, the last movie, the mystery movie.
mystery movie.
So can you give us your clues, and people at home play along and try to figure it out too?
So I have to preface this with saying, yesterday you guessed my original movie. So I had to.
Oh, I guessed What Lies Beneath.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
and-
that was
okay.
it.
I knew there was a long
Since you
pause.
guessed
telling you, we're always
I
on the
know,
same
I
page
know.
with movies.
Since you guessed it, I had to change my
sorry.
movie, and I had to find another one. Luckily, there's so many references to water in many, many different movies,
Yeah.
and
Can
I
just
feel
say
like
that's payback for you unredacting my redacted PDF.
Well-
guys, if you listen to the Native Plants episode, you'll find out what I'm talking about. It's a little sticking point between the two of us.
Well, I think that this movie was actually better, so I feel like it works out better for
Okay.
everyone.
Okay.
And now you don't have two people reviewing the same movie.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So
Let's
I
get
have a
those
few
clues. We have
clues.
5 clues.
I have some clues.
Play
yeah.
at home.
They're not great clues, so just bear with
Good.
me.
I love
This
bad
movie-
clues.
Yeah, and a lot of them are extremely vague. So just this movie has a connection to Harrison Ford.
Oh. Okay. Oh wow.
So
Harrison Ford connection.
yeah,
Indiana
Connection.
Jones. No.
I already guessed Temple of Doom earlier.
yeah, it's not Temple of Doom. This is a prequel.
Prequel. Okay.
There are both humans and 2 humanoid life forms, different types of human-like life forms.
Okay. I can think
No
of one
guesses
very
yet?
famous movie
No-
that he's
no
in
guesses
with
yet?
humanoid-like life forms.
Yeah, me
but-
too.
I didn't say he was in
I
it.
just keep going.
Oh.
The
Connection.
Okay.
connection to him.
Okay. Keep going.
Okay. There are 3 references to the old film Lawrence of Arabia.
Well, we have one more clue, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, do I have another? Hold on. Okay, my last clue is really vague, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
A critic wrote that this movie references everything from Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
To Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, to Mario Bava's Planet of the Vampires, which is a 1965 science fiction horror film, which I have not seen and I'm going to go watch. But what is your guess?
Oh, no, I don't have it. Because you said Harrison Ford's not in it.
He's not in it. What were you going to guess?
Well, it was a dumb guess because you said Harrison Ford wasn't in it. But there's a lot of
these are extremely vague, so
there's a lot of
intentionally
humanoid-like life forms in Blade Runner. But Harrison Ford's in that.
That
quite a
is
bit.
the connection.
That's the connection.
That's the connection.
Well, he's also in Blade Runner 2049.
Same director directed this movie.
Oh, okay. Ridley Scott.
Yeah, Ridley Scott.
What?
You're on the right track.
How do you know this
Do you
stuff?
want me to just say the actors?
I don't know anything useful.
And if you do you want me to just start naming the actors?
Can I just go? Let me go over the clues one more time. Okay,
Yeah,
Harrison
go.
Ford connection.
Yep.
It's a prequel.
Yep.
Oh, I think I just got it. I think that it's Prometheus.
That's
Yeah,
what
is that
I
right?
say, Prometheus.
yes.
That was
Okay.
what I think.
Good job.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's awesome. Okay.
Great movie. I
a good
love
quiz.
it. Noomi Rapace, Michael Fassbender, Idris Elba, Charlize Theron. It's awesome.
It's a lot of talent.
A
in that
lot of
movie.
really, really fun people to watch. Directed by Ridley Scott, written by David Lindelof. Like really, really good things about
Can I
this
just
movie.
ask
It's pretty
the listeners,
scary, too.
did you guess it before I did? If so, write to us at FW Water on Twitter and let me know.
Good point.
Sorry.
So, I love this movie. It is science fiction and a little bit of horror mixed in, but it's like believable horror. It's not like horror that's like
Not supernatural.
unexplainable.
Yeah.
Like it all has to do with some sort of like xenobiology or like there's a connection. It's not like it's not like a weird, like paranormal things happening. It's just science fiction.
And
so
it's
I think it's
beautifully
really fun.
shot.
It is. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That opening scene with the what are they called? Not the architects, the
Engineers.
on that planet by himself.
Yes.
Drinking that liquid and dissolving is beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
I've kind of gone over a synopsis, or I have like a synopsis of
Please.
the movie with a lot of different water themed points in it. So I'm gonna.
So this movie is
I'll
not
go.
popular with Alien fans.
No, it's
I like it a
not,
lot.
but I love it.
I like it
Yeah.
too.
Listen,
and
guys,
I like aliens.
I'm a huge Alien fan.
Yeah, and I haven't
love
seen
it.
Alien Covenant, the new one.
I like that one too.
Yeah, that
Even though
one's.
it's even less popular.
I know, but I really like the female protagonist, Catherine Waterston. She's amazing, and I love her.
Yeah, she's the one in Covenant. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, she's
think
got
I
an
liked it.
amazing jacket
She's awesome.
that she wears.
And
They
I
all
just-
have great jackets.
I
Yes,
think I remember
yes.
thinking,
Wonderful.
like,
Yeah.
I want to dress like these
Yeah.
people.
Me too.
Ripley
I'm gonna
also
start
has
showing
an
up
awesome jacket.
like that to wear,
I don't think
guys.
Noomi Rapace in this one has a like
No, I don't
Sigourney
remember any good
Weaver has a
jackets.
good jacket in the first one.
Yeah.
Like they're
Oh, yeah.
they're all like just like powerhouse females that are
Yeah.
just like dominating.
I wish
and
I had
it's awesome.
Guts to get a haircut like her.
Yeah.
Random, the Aliens movie poster is in Poltergeist.
What?
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Just
I love that.
weird
And
connection.
another Harrison Ford connection over here with Katie's
I
movie.
know. I
yeah.
know. I thought that would be a good crossover.
I'm trying to think of a connection to The Ring.
Yeah, I don't know. That one's a little bit harder, but
Okay.
maybe, maybe there's, anyway. So this movie, Prometheus was a character. Sorry, I'm just going to jump into my synopsis. Was a character in Greek mythology who defies the gods.
She's going all the way back to the
and
beginning.
seriously, I mean, you have to. This movie's so great. And gifts humankind with fire. Well, in this movie, the engineer shows up in the beginning, the opening scene. He shows up and he gifts basically the earth his DNA. So it's basically earth, primordial earth, like beginnings of earth, and there's no life on it yet. And he gifts the earth his DNA. He takes out this little capsule and it's got some black goo in it, and he drinks it, and then he starts disintegrating.
I always wondered, because they drop him off in the ship, and then they just leave him.
Yeah, they leave him. He's obviously
totally naked.
He's obviously a sacrifice. Like he's either sacrificing himself or he's been chosen to sacrifice.
Because he does it willingly. But I was wondering.
The thing is, go ahead.
Well, why you're on this planet by yourself? Wouldn't you want to just walk around and like explore a little and then drink that stuff?
Yeah, no, he was there for a purpose.
You got time.
He was there for a purpose.
Yeah.
And one thing that Damon Lindelof has mentioned in his other discussions about this movie, he said that this scene was driven from Aztec and Greco-Roman myths where the gods create man in their own image and then by sacrificing themselves in some way. Okay. So you know that instead of him just being left there, it's a choice. Like he's sacrificing himself. So he's standing there naked, great, at this waterfall. And
beautiful waterfall.
Not great, but
you're like naked, great.
Well, no, I mean that's just part of his culture. I don't know. So he's standing at this waterfall. This waterfall is actually called Didafoss, which is in Icelandic. Oh, wow. It's the most powerful waterfall in Europe. Not the most powerful in the world, but it's the most powerful in Europe, and it is extremely powerful. Like it's just amazing. Like 4.4 trillion gallons of water going over this waterfall a day. By comparison, Fort Worth Water Department, I think peak capacity is like 500 million gallons a day. So this is like a lot of water that's just like pouring over this like massive waterfall. And I just think it's really cool. Anyway, so.
But it's not the most powerful in the world.
What is? The most. So it's I can't remember the name of it, but it's in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and then that's like number 1, and then like Niagara Falls is like number 5, and then this one's like down on the list. But
Niagara Falls.
But that's number 1 in flow rate. But that's like by flow rate, so it's the amount of water going over. But this one has it's the most powerful, so it has the most force, which is area, length, distance divided by time, I think, or whatever. Sure. So it's got the most force. Anyway, so. Right off the bat, I'm like, this is a great movie to watch, like to reference water. I just think there's so many cool things about it. But in the opening scene, we see that engineer come to Earth and then he drinks that stuff. He begins to like deteriorate really rapidly. And we realize that it's not only his skin that starts to break down, but it's also like his DNA unraveling. And this leads me to think that like, in addition to being extremely acidic, that like goo that is disintegrating is like also some sort of like biological weapon. Like it's like Ebola or like some kind of disease that actually like breaks down your DNA. So we know it's not good. And then.
Well, can I just do a spoiler alert for a movie that we're not even talking about? That's what you find out in Alien Covenant.
Right.
Is that these engineers created the xenomorph aliens. Yes. So they probably did all kinds of biological weapons.
Yes. Yeah. It's all connected. That's why I like it. So he basically, his DNA is carried downstream by the waterfall, and we see 2 examples that I think are really cool, science-related examples of recombinant DNA, which is like DNA that's like combining to form something new, and divergent evolution, which is really cool. It's loosely divergent evolution because it's obviously.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, this is science fiction, so it's not like, totally accurate. But, those are 2 really cool themes that like basically this DNA is going to evolve to create humans like 3 billion years later or whenever.
Create all life on Earth.
Yes,
right?
all life. And it starts in the water, which I think is cool.
Big water connection.
A big water connection. So. Then we fast forward to the year 2089, and archaeologists Shaw and Holloway, which are great actors, have discovered a star map in a cave on Scotland, and they convinced the Wayland Corporation owner, who is kind of like searching for like everlasting life, that this will lead them back to their creators.
Played by Sam Rockwell, who was in...
No, not Sam Rockwell.
I thought it was an old Sam Rockwell.
No, it's Guy Pearce.
I'm cutting this out.
The engineer.
I'm going to cut this out. Every time I'm wrong, I cut it out.
Yeah. So
I was going to say it was a connection to the new Poltergeist.
Oh, well, that would be great.
I should have looked it up.
Sorry. We can go with that and just fact check it later. Whatever.
I'll leave it in now. So people will know I'm not perfect.
That's noble.
Wait to see your wife's comment on that one.
Noble of you. So they travel to this planet in stasis, which is like a permanent coma. And they're in these like goo pods. And like there's like a number of scenes of them like waking up, getting out of these goo pods and just like dripping with like goo and ooze. And I don't really know how that helps you in stasis, like how that preserves the body. But it's kind of like, I think of it as like the opposite of mummification. Like instead of taking all the moisture out of your body, it's just like encapsulating you.
Or is it like
goo.
an abyss situation where it's like you breathe that? Have you guys ever
breathable
seen that?
oxygen.
Yeah, breathable.
Yeah.
Within the
Liquid oxygen.
Yeah.
It could be that.
Yeah.
I feel
cool.
like I'm like, could they find like a cleaner way to do
less
this?
messy, because then you get a shower after. And,
It's probably great for your
dripping
skin,
off
though.
of them.
Yeah,
Very
Yes.
moisturizing.
Yes, but they're only in stasis for 2 years, and I think in like Alien in the first one, she's only in like, I mean, she's in stasis for like decades.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And
why are they in stasis
Alien,
only for 2 years?
They've moved on from using the whatever liquid to just being like, I don't know, cryo frozen.
Frozen,
or whatever in
yeah.
Alien, so.
Which I have a note on that later, but that's a good point. Anyway, so we're introduced to another. Also, at this time, we see that on the ship while they're traveling, we're introduced to David, which is like he's another humanoid life form. He's an artificially intelligent robot that's been programmed by the Wayland Corporation to basically take care of everyone. But we see that he has like a fascination with Lawrence of Arabia. He's watching the movie in the first
Combing
scene.
his hair
That's
like
the first, yeah.
Peter O'Toole.
Yeah, and actually his hair was brown, and his character is like basically bleaching it to look like Peter O'Toole. Anyway, and he's been created basically to care for the humans and everything. But we see that he also has like these little personality traits that kind of make him human.
He adopts the accent from the movie too.
Yes, he practices it over and over. So once they arrive at the planet, they find that it's pretty like devoid of water with lots of like mountains and rocks. And David remarks that there's, second reference to Lawrence of Arabia, there's nothing in the desert and no man needs nothing. And it's from that movie when the Bedouin guide is killed for drinking from a well. So connection to the rain.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Brought it all full
And
circle.
obviously
just like the rain.
theft of water. So Fort Worth Water Department, if you steal water, then that's probably you're probably gonna get a fine and all of that. So don't do that. Anyway, moving on. So they decide to go investigate this structure that they find, and Holloway asks David why he needs this suit. So Holloway's kind of like nitpicking at David, and like he's kind of antagonistic and like, not really friends with him because David doesn't need oxygen. So he's like, why do you need a suit? And David remarks that the humans would be uncomfortable around him and that he was created this way so that the humans would feel comfortable in his presence. Otherwise, that would defeat the purpose of his programming.
There's always
which
somebody
is
who
to serve.
hates the android in all the
Right.
alien movies.
That
Like,
would be me.
yeah.
Really? Yes.
Yeah.
So
Don't trust him.
So this reminds me of Blade Runner and how they basically, like, the replicants they're created to terraform planets before the humans get there. But the corporation that created them didn't expect them to have like emotions or be human-like. So I like that connection that like we created it, but it's also has a mind of its own. You can't control it necessarily just because you created it. Anyway, I think that's a cool theme in there. Moving on to other water stuff. When they're on the surface of the planet, the climatologist starts assessing the atmosphere, and she states that it's like breathing through a exhaust pipe, and that the CO2 is over 3%. So that reminded me of sort of the rising levels of CO2 in our atmosphere, and it made me think of if these engineers had basically polluted their planet to where it was unusable, and is that why they were leaving to like basically start new life somewhere else? I don't know, but that's
There's a lot of questions still about this movie that I have.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I think he did that purposefully because he wanted people to be like, trying to work it out for themselves.
But this wasn't their planet because they go to their planet in Alien Covenant.
Right. It was just like a colonized planet.
Oh, okay.
But then something had happened there. It's like, is that what they do? Do they go planet hopping and like use up the atmosphere? Is that why they came to Earth and then use up their atmosphere?
Why did all the star charts lead to this planet?
Lead to this one? I don't know.
Okay.
That's another question.
This is a question for another podcast, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, they go into the structure and realize it's been terraformed, kind of like, the conditions and the atmospheric pressure kind of resemble Earth, and the sunlight like heats the moisture and it increases the humidity and it makes the air breathable in some way, kind of like Biosphere. That's what I think of that movie, Biosphere.
With Pauly Shore?
Yes, okay. With Pauly Shore.
Just making sure.
Great movie. So while they're exploring like the caverns, the team encounters a lot of different things, like a hologram of an alien death. They see one kind of like, getting killed or something. Mm-hmm. And then
running from something, right?
Yes, running from something, and then his head gets chopped off. And then a bunch of capsules, which are climate controlled, that is probably the biological weapon. And we find out that of all the scientists, the geologists are really like the big scaredy cats, because he's like, I'm going to leave the group. And this happens in like every scary movie. Like somebody decides that they're going to leave the group.
Yeah.
And go off. And
stop leaving the group.
Yeah, it's like
don't go
stay
alone.
Together.
Classic.
Creepy movie 101.
Exactly. It's like rule number 1. Yeah. So so he's the first one to die. Long story short, they bring back the alien head. I don't know why we're picking up heads and bringing them back on ships. I don't know, but people do that too in scary movies.
And trying to bring it back to life.
Right.
And,
they
I don't know.
insert the little electric nodes and
Just
try
shock
to.
'em.
She's like, let's fake it into thinking that it's still alive. And I'm like, it's decapitated. It is not going to be happy. Anyway. And David brings back a capsule, secretly brings back a capsule of the black goo. By freeze drying it. Fun fact about freeze drying. Sorry. Sorry, this is going to go on forever. You can chop out any of this.
No, I want to hear this fun fact.
It's kind of neat. Freeze drying is the process of cooling a material below its triple point, or the lowest temperature that a gas, water, and solid can coexist, creating a network of ice crystals, which promotes the faster removal of water vapor down to like -40 or -80 degrees. And then it reduces the water content down to like less than 1 or 4%. So it's like extreme freezing and drying all at the same time.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was kind of cool. And that he just like had a little canister that was like, Psh, I'm going to freeze dry this.
Oh, that was the
Kind of
point
cool.
that you were going to get to from Aliens.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was it. Sorry. Anticlimactic. So we find out around this time that the weather is also extremely volatile. Another thing that connects to water, because if this is due to the high CO2 levels, that can impact weather patterns. So there's extremely volatile weather, which is kind of like, to me, I'm like, hint, hint, we need to like, get our CO2 emissions down, whatever.
Whatever.
But they go back to the ship and basically everything falls apart. Like all hell breaks loose. And the alien head explodes. David infects Holloway with the bioweapon through water or a drink.
Whiskey, I think.
Oh, a drink, yeah.
Drink.
Yeah, he drops a little drop of the bioweapon into the water or into the drink, and Holloway drinks it. Although he was kind of like being cranky at him. He said, David was like, why do you guys want to find the engineers? And he's like, because we want answers. And David says, why do you think you created me? And he's like, because we could, kind of being sassy at him. And David says, well, wouldn't that be, how disappointed would you be to hear that from your creator? So he's kind of deserves it, I guess. But then basically other stuff starts falling apart. People start dying off one by one. Shaw, Noomi Rapace's character, there's some hanky-panky, and then Holloway infects Shaw with his alien DNA. So then she grows this. That? Well, there's hanky-panky. So it's implied. So then, so she is growing this squid alien. Gross. But she ends up getting into this med pod, and she extracts it, and it turns into the creature that then creates the new alien that we see in like the series.
Yeah.
But meanwhile,
like proto alien.
Yes. Yeah. So then they encounter the creator engineer and wake him up, and he's really mad. And David tries to communicate with him for Mr. Wayland, and the creator alien responds by ripping off David's head and beating Mr. Wayland to death, which I think is interesting that he was being killed by his own creation. It's kind of poetic justice.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, poetic justice. So we don't really know why the engineer alien is angry, though.
I've always wondered that too. Why is he so mad?
Why is he so mad? Is it because humans are like small and puny, and he's
I feel like you guys have more questions about this movie than
no.
Have you seen it?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being completely confused.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen it twice,
seen it
and
a
now you're
bunch.
reminding me how
Yeah.
much I liked it, because I remember I liked it.
Yeah.
And I need to watch it again. Like I just Googled where can I watch it again?
There's a
So,
lot of
Amazon
open
Prime.
ends because they kind of want to tie some of them up later,
Gotcha.
and then they also want to leave it open ended to find, so that people can basically find their own
Because that's what I was
meaning
just
in
looking
it.
up, like all
Yeah.
the theories and stuff behind
So great.
it, which is
I love
crazy.
reading
And
the theories
Aliens
about
itself
it.
has a lot of
Yes.
open
Yeah.
ends too.
I've
so
seen
it's
all
like
the
it's
all the like older aliens.
Like
I've seen
movie.
all of those. Yeah.
So we don't really know why he's mad. Maybe he's just like hangry after being in stasis forever, because he's been there for like billions of years.
Yeah.
So we don't know why he's angry. But he kills the creator.
I wish everybody could see Jillian's notes.
I'm sorry.
she's got-
Well, you gave me homework, so I had to do my homework.
She's highlighted her own notes. I just want to point that
Well,
out.
those are all the things that pertain to water, so I wanted to make sure to hit on those. Anyway, he takes off to try to exterminate Earth with his like ship and the bioweapon. Idris Elba saves the day. He is awesome.
Yeah, he's
in
great.
this. And
Never seen him do a bad job in anything though. He's
no,
he's amazing.
Yeah, he's wonderful. He saves the day, crashes the ship into it. And after that, we see the two females left, Noomi Rapace and Charlize Theron, and they're like running from the ship. One of them is, Michelle, I think you'll like this, kind of represents like corporate greed. Like, because Charlize Theron is like, she's representing the Wayland Corporation.
It's her dad, right? Is
Yes.
the old guy.
And then basically she's his successor. Well, so her and Noomi are like running, or Shaw, Noomi's character, they're running, and basically you're like, which one's gonna make it? Well, obviously Noomi makes it because she's resilient and she's just this awesome force of nature, and she finds David's head so they can like blast away, get away from this place. But before she leaves, she goes back to the med pod where she had extracted the squid alien. She gets in that so that she can, leave. And she's locked it away in a room. Well, the creator engineer that didn't die in the crash, he finds her and he attacks her. But Noomi opens the pod and the squid grabs the creator engineer and like absorbs him and they like fight. So Noomi, who is representing all that's good and right in the world, is saved by her creation because she was like was the one.
I never think about movies this deeply.
Seriously.
I'm like, that was a cool alien.
So
I'm like,
she
that's
gets
as deep as I get.
saved. Unlike the corporate greed guy who gets killed. It's a good tying up the loose ends.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the final scene, we see another example of recombinant DNA where alien DNA is mixing with the engineer DNA, and divergence. We see that kind of one more time because out of that pops the new alien, or the deacon alien, or whatever, the one that's later on. That's like the precursor to the. I have a little chart of how they're all
my
related.
God.
oh my goodness.
Whoa, can I see that?
This is amazing.
But I didn't create this. But I had to block out the areas that
Nudity.
had the hanky panky. So, but it's really cool. It shows the engineer and then basically coming to Earth, creating
You got
human
those
life,
sensor blocks.
and then basically how it gets back to humans through the biopod or whatever, and then after the hanky-panky, then there's a new type of alien created over here, the trilobite, and that one is like it's like the big squid baby, but all grown up. And then
oh, he's so grown up.
It's awesome. It's like a great example of,
as John Mike was taking a picture of it,
of how that DNA works. So
I want a copy of that because I'm gonna watch
really
the
fun.
movie tonight.
I blocked that out.
You added the sensor blocks, right?
Yeah, because
I want to know what's going on.
Well, you can probably find that online. All you have to do is Google.
Wait, what did they have a picture of back here? That
I know.
You had to block out?
I had to block it out. It's not.
Is it that graphic?
Not suitable. Yes.
Wow. Oh
yeah.
my God.
So,
okay.
In conclusion.
I'm glad you blocked it out.
Yeah, I know. In conclusion, we see many, many examples of the importance of water, like how water is important in the creation and stabilization of atmospheric conditions. That's really important. Weather patterns, rain, all of that. How destructive water diseases can be, or when you find a disease in water, that can be extremely detrimental to humans, how fast it can infect us if we're not careful. And really how water is essential to all of life.
Excellent.
That's my synopsis.
You still have one part left to do, and how many bags of popcorn do you give it?
Oh, how many bags? Well, so since we can't give more than 5,
5's the limit,
I have to just, I'm going to give it 5 bags because obviously I really like this movie and I feel like it deserves the 5 bags. And I probably would eat 5 bags of popcorn just watching this movie because it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to watch it tonight, Michelle?
I'm going to try.
That chart brings up some more questions for me.
Yes, I'm studying
I know, because it goes on to
the other movies. It includes all aliens. So it links them all up. Thank you for you finding it and whoever created it out there.
So it's pretty cool.
This is fascinating.
Yeah. I love the series. I love Sigourney Weaver. I love Noomi Rapace. I love Catherine Waterston. So I feel like they're all good.
Yeah. Strong female leads, and that's rare.
Yes.
Yeah, especially for that
science
time.
fiction, especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver's the best.
She's great.
Yes.
I didn't know she was
Ripley.
6 feet tall.
Yeah, she's like, super tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's in the Ghostbusters.
I know.
This is just the best.
True. I never even think about that.
Yeah, I always think about her being in the Ghostbusters.
So that wraps up our movie discussion. I just want to go over one more time. We gave La Llorona 0 bags.
Yes.
Michelle gave Poltergeist 3 bags. Katie gave What Lies Beneath 3.75 bags. I gave The Ring, I considered a 5-bagger film plus a little haunted videotape. And Jillian gave the mystery movie, which turned out to be Prometheus, which I got eventually.
Yeah. Y'all got it.
Also 5 bags. I would agree with that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though
it's worthy.
A lot of hardcore alien fans are not on board.
Those guys.
Yeah.
Come on. Thanks everybody for listening to this super spooky episode about water horror movies. And thank you guys for watching these water horror movies with me, even though nobody here is a horror fan except for yours truly.
No problem.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, happy Halloween.
There we go.